Hello there. You probably heard before that things change. They change all the time. And there are things that do not change. For example, you will always pay for tax. You will always have a limited time. You will not live forever. And the psychology in trading is always the same. So basically, we are talking here about two things. We are talking here about what is called greed and fear. And this brings us to the AI world. All of the things that are happening here right now. So as we have been seeing the last 4 years, we are having very big groups investing heavily, massively into AI, and they are not having the returns of the investment that they was expecting. AI is not doing that much as was promised. And this is something that shows psychology. Now we have a new trend when you're talking about the market. The semiconductor industry is better than ever. So take a look if you have some time. The thing is that when you go into the direction where you are going to understand more about fear, about greed, you start to change yourself and you start to understand what is underlying things. I can give a clear example right now. It's been 4 years that AI will take your job in the next 6 months. And this affects everything as a society, because the first question we do is, if AI is going to do absolutely everything, there will be no work anymore for people. What everyone is going to do? How the big corporations are going to somehow transfer the money from the consumers to themselves. How all of these dynamics are going to work, because we are in a global market that have been built through generations. And it's something very resilient, right? It's not something that's going to change. And is also very close tied to our values. Work hard is close tied to our values. Earn your money is close tied to our values. Buy yourself something is also tied to our values, right? You are not going to inherit a house. You may buy your own. You may do your own things. And that is what brings us to the next level here. As you see, the companies that are spreading all of this big amount of fear, they are successfully making a lot of harm and also promoting themselves and their product. When you see robotics, when you see also AI and other things that have been suggested over those years, well, they cannot do much. They need a lot of supervision. They need a lot of hands-on. And this comes in the middle of many other crises that we are having right now. Have you heard that we are, pretty much doing or having a lot of initiatives that it doesn't seem serious at all? And these initiatives are to somehow increase the population, for people have more babies. So I heard before that they have been suggesting that people should work more for home office because they spend more time home. I heard people telling that disregard of anything, people just should have children. Also, there are countries that pay you for, so you have a children, you get some kind of allowance, we have a kind of benefits. And nobody is talking about decrease the life costs. Anyone. So it doesn't make that much sense, right? You are in one way saying that we don't have enough people. All right? We are not having enough children to do a replacement of who we have today. On the other hand, you are investing heavily in a technology that is going to replace people. So, how come you keep telling and marketing and scaring people saying that, dude, your child will not gonna have a job because the machines are going to do anything. So you're not gonna have a child, right? And on the other hand, the same guys say, well, my machines are going to do everything in the next 5 years. So as you see, this is a very complicated thing that we are living, and is more related to market itself. The huge amount of energy, the huge amount of resource that a data center needs also is something that is mind-blowing. We do not have this power grid. We do not have this amount of fresh water. We do not have this amount of chips. We do not have this amount of hardware, and we do not have this amount of money as well. There are no monies. You see companies laying off a huge amount of professionals, and that is not because the company is doing bad financially. That is pretty much because they are having big, huge losses. And all of the logic behind it, it doesn't make any sense. And that's exactly when it comes the fear, the pressure, and selling out all those things to everyone. The thing is, once you are afraid of something, you may have two reactions. The first reaction is that, okay, you are afraid of something, you're going to freeze. You are not going to do much, you're not going to move. You are assessing the risks you are facing. When you decide what to do, you go to motion. But when you are bombarded every single day with fear, you're not going anywhere. The second reaction is exactly a more aggressive reaction, right? That's why we keep saying flight or fight. That is when you go to the fight. And when it comes to the part of go to the fight, you see not only data centers, but warehouses, you see things start to burn to the ground. People are fed up with those things. And people are not, people are actually thinking that they are coming to end, that there will not be, a next generation here, which is pretty much a certain by now. In few countries, if you get to know Japan or if you get to know Korea, they are not going to be around for longer because unfortunately they already passed the time where they could do something about it when it comes to the population decreasing. Moving forward, talking about all of these points in psychology is exactly the same when it comes to trading. So when you are doing the trading, it's pretty much, volume, price, action, and many other tools that you can choose if you're going to use or not. You can try out and you can decide over it. However, that is showing clearly greed and fear. When something is going down, and is going down very fast, as we have seen for a few companies, including the companies related to SaaS, the companies related to software, that are going to be replaced by AI as well. I'm not sure if they are happy with it, but it's not only people, right? Systems as well. You see a lot of fear, so the price goes down, the perception of value decreases. When you see that people are very greedy because they see a bright future like data centers and everything related to data centers, okay? So we're talking here about the infrastructure, we're talking about the chips, we're talking about the memories, we are talking about everything that's concerned to a data center. All of those things are increasing price. And these companies are actually beating the forecasts. You can take as example what just happened with Intel. Intel had shaken out a big amount of people. Intel unfortunately failed the AGI or the AI race. However, they have been doing pretty much changes in there. And since the time that they have a new CEO and they also unfortunately laid off a big amount of people, they are actually going up. And recently, Intel had a surge of over 20% in a single day because during the news and the quarter results, they showed that they was estimating something around 12 billions and they actually get to 13 billions. It means around 7% plus of what they was forecasting and expecting. And also they get into the AI race. Not necessarily the chips, but their infrastructure to be built there. And all of the things that we see, they go over time. So right now, the only industry that is actually showing very good results, and also we're talking here pretty much about 7 companies, those companies are booming. And it will come the time they want. That is exactly when the bubble will gonna burst. The billionaires and all of these companies, they are concerned about the bubble. No, they are making the bubble burst and happen. How come? Well, I'm not sure if it was around during the dot-com bubble in 2000 or during the housing bubble in 2008. Pretty much everyone going to a race investing into something. And once the bubble bursts, we have a huge financial loss. But again, what is lost in terms of money, in terms of cash, that we talk in another video, it actually doesn't have intrinsic value, but everything that is lost is buried by you and I. You and I are the ones who are going to suffer and pay for it. When we are talking about all of these, C-level and people who own these big corporations, they are actually taking all the money and paying for goods and services. It means they are transforming that cash into something tangible. It could be lands for the data center, it could be the chips for the data center that unfortunately will get obsolete in a few years. However, they're going to get that money back. They're going to put this on the books. All of those infrastructure will be there. And it's the same about the .com. We build a lot from the remains of the .com bubble. A lot that we have today. We're not talking in this time about data center. Back there was exactly the cabling, was exactly the fiber cables that we keep crossing over continents, over countries, and pulling all of that cable. That was the infrastructure that remained and remained useful. So that's the reason why you see that the big corporations, they do not mind, because they're not going to pay for it. You and I are the only ones who are going to pay for it. People who do not have access. People who somehow feel themselves as middle class. And that is something else that is happening, because middle class do not exist and never did exist. Middle class is just a way to make you feel better about your condition. You got a job, you're making some money, you had the opportunity to study and to learn things and be here talking to people about all of those things. But again, you are not wealthy. As they say in London, if I'm not mistaken, is a very hard offense when someone say that you had to buy your own furniture. So you can imagine where these people come from. We're talking here about generational wealth, right? So moving forward, the psychology of the greed and the fear are something very important for you to control, to learn, and to understand in every aspect of your lifetime. Why? Because nothing, absolutely nothing ever happened. Anything is everything in your mind. And when it comes to your mind, try to understand your mind is very powerful. You see what you see based on your experiences, based on your fears, based on your traumas, based on the things that somehow are familiar to you. And that it comes exactly in the same pattern as we see in the trading, in the papers. Right now we have a huge amount of greed going exactly for this sector, the semiconductor sector. And there will be the time that the fear will be there. And right now, you know exactly what to do. A few weeks back, pretty much last month, right? We have the Iran war surge. And that created a certain distraction. And once created that distraction, a lot of people moved away, for example, from gold and get into oil and get into shipment and get into a lot of things related to the infrastructure related to oil. And since there's a kind of indefinition by now, people are moving back to the semiconductors. However, while he was busy being fed by a lot of news related to oil and to crisis and to the end of the world without energy, a lot of people was making their positions and their bets in the semiconductor. So this is something that is going to happen and happen very often, and is part of what we see every day. It's on the news, is on the tape, the trading tape itself. You have volume, you have price action, and that is exactly the information that you need to move forward, to do your bets, and to decide which direction you are going to. The main thing is, as we can see clearly, right now, the world is as is. If you are a person who do not have assets, and when I'm talking about assets, it doesn't mean if you have a house or if you own stocks. Assets. Assets is being evaluated, and the shareholders are the priority. A lot of people are losing their jobs, a lot of people are struggling, having difficulty to make ends meet. And this is not on the news. What is on the news is that companies profiting billions is not paying a penny in taxes, is actually paying way less than you do. And they are absolutely taking this money and sending to the shareholders. So maybe it's time for you to make a decision for the next 10 or 20 years. The stock market will still here. All of these things will still exist in here. The psychology of trading will be exactly the same. However, now you have more information. Now you understand and you are certain that shareholder is the most important thing in this market, and it's not something that is going to change. Thank you for watching.